Welcome to Garden Cafe. I'm Maureen and this is my Texas Zone 8B9A garden. Today I'm going to be working either inside or in the garage. I'm going to be continuing my experiment on planting seeds. Dahlias are these 5, zinnias are those 5, in soil, and at the same time planting them, again, dahlia is on the left, zinnia is on the right, in the LetPot hydroponic system. I'll bring you in a little bit closer so you can see what I'm looking at. For the most part, they seem to be about pretty similar on their growth. There are a few more of the zinnias down there that definitely look like they're farther along than the ones up top. So for those, I would say at this point, LetPot definitely wins that one. As far as the dahlias, well, there's about even. We've got some that have more growth, some that have less growth. So I would say LetPot soil, those are about even. But here's where things could go in different directions, or I don't know, the LetPot may be the better option. It's only been 2 weeks since I planted these seeds, but take a look at the roots. Crazy roots already. So these are ready to be up potted into soil already. It's only been 2 weeks, people. Literally, only 2 weeks. And we're ready to go. Now I'm going to walk you through, because growing it in a hydroponic system is very different than growing it in the soil, in that the roots, those are water roots. Those roots don't know how to live in soil yet. This just gets them started, and I'll walk you through that process. I'm basically going to just unplug the electronics, take off the light overhead, and then we'll move the basic part out to the garage so that I can start up potting them in soil. To keep this experiment as pure, as close to the other one, the seeds I planted in the soil that are still inside are planted mostly in coconut coir. So I'm going to stick with that. Still, it has some of the soil on the side. All right, so the trick, these are water roots. I'm just adding some flower tone, people. Just give it a little bit of nutrient. Okay, so to adjust from water roots to soil, you have to have very moist soil, and it must stay moist until those roots you get used to living in the soil. Then you can back off and water them as you normally would. Now, you saw the plants that I had planted in soil that are in the bathroom. I'm not a little more water, that are in the bathroom right now in the tub. That is my inside grow zone. They're still in there. Now, normally at that stage, I would start acclimating them. Central Texas, remember, super hot and super icky here right now, but I would start acclimating them to being outside. I would put them on the back porch for a few hours a day and then eventually plant them out. I'm not going to do that right now, again, to try to keep these experiments as level as possible and as similar as possible. I'm just going to put soil in these pots. I'm not going to fill them up. I'm going to probably do about half, and I'll show you why when I put the other plants in. But because these roots are water roots, they will not handle the heat very well starting out. They will handle the heat just as well as any other dahlia and zinnia in the end. But at this point, with those very fragile water roots, it would be a bad idea. So since I'm going to be leaving the LetPot plants inside, I'm going to keep the other ones inside as well until these get acclimated, and then I will start moving them outside, start getting them acclimated, eventually plant them out. And I'll plant them out, in similar locations in the yard so that we can have a true test. And I'll have to mark them very well, obviously, so we can have a true test of LetPot versus soil when starting seeds, at least for dahlias and zinnias. Obviously, other flowers may not have the same issues, but we'll see. We will see. All right, so this is just about filled up. I'm going to show you how I cut the cages off of these flowers for 2 of them, and then I'm just going to fast forward for the others. Okay, so let's start with a zinnia. And again, I'm going to keep it so the right-hand side is zinnias, the left-hand side will be dahlias. And actually, I only needed 4 of these because one of the dahlias did not grow. And I think that was my fault. The seeds were so large, I oriented them the way I thought I should, but I didn't think about it until I had already put a few of the seeds down in the holes of these sponges. So I probably had it upside down. But anyway, okay, so plastic cage. Let me see if I can get a closer look on this. Plastic cage, sponge inside. The roots are growing through the sponge. You do not want to plant this plastic cage. I know some people do, but I tried it, and frankly, it seemed to hinder the plants. Did not appreciate the restrictions of the roots all growing through this once it got to a certain size. So what I do is I just use little clippers at the top of each of the plastic cages. It's going to go all the way around, and then this will slide off, doing little to no damage to the roots. And then you just slide it through. There you go. So the roots are good. They look awesome. And then this side, I am just going to peel back the label a little bit just so I don't have to pull it through the sticker. There we go. And then it just pushes, it just comes right out. So this one's ready to plant. Now the reason I only did these halfway is to make it a little bit easier for me so I'm not damaging the roots. To put this sponge in, you want it to be in so that the top of the sponge is at the top of the soil level that will eventually be in there. And this way you can just settle the soil around it with less damage to the roots. Tap it down. Ooh, popped up. There we go. A little more. Okay, there we go. All right, so again, this has to stay very, very moist while those roots get used to living in soil. Let's try that again. So let's do that again with one of the dahlias. And I am going to go through with you folks on it's really important to pinch dahlias. Let me address that after I get these planted up. Okay, so once again, you're going to cut the top of the plastic cage, going all the way around. And you don't want these to get too many more roots than what you see here, because it really ends up being a tangled mess very easily. And then when you try to get them out of the cages, it really does damage the roots badly. See, even that, as gentle as I was, several of the roots got pulled off. But I think we're good. We have plenty of roots here. All right, and I'm going to peel off the label. And this again is one of the dahlias. Yep, and the sticker's stuck on my thumb. Hang on. Try to get this off. There we go. Okay, and then literally you can just push the sponge through. Now, as you can see, this plant is very delicate. And then again, it's rooted into the sponge, but it grew in water. So it did not, and it was held up by the sticker and by the cage. So it really did not have to focus on the support at all. This is, again, one more very important reason why you need to make sure that this is all the way down in the pot as far as you can get it, so that you can put soil up around the neck that will support it going forward. Okay. All right, here we go. And now I'm going to put a little more soil around its base. I don't want to bury the first leaves. These down here are its first leaves. I don't want to bury those, but I do need to provide it with the support it hasn't needed until now. There we go. Okay, that one looks good. All right. The rest of these, I'm going to follow exactly the same procedure I just did, and I'm going to do it on fast forward. So this is ready to go back into my grow tub. I think that's what I'm going to call it from now on, my grow tub. I'm going to put it under the same lights as the other ones. I'm going to, well, this one will get a little more water for about 4 days, but then after that point, they will be watered the same. Oh, and I mix this quick start transplant starting solution. It's really good. I just put a capful in to a big thing of water, and you water the tray so that the water, these plants will absorb the water from underneath instead of being watered on top. They love this stuff, definitely. And we will continue the experiment to see if the LetPot or planting seeds directly, which one ended up working out the best. Before I bring it back into the house, though, I did want to discuss now dahlias and zinnias both benefit from being pinched. But let me go through and I'll explain why, and I'll actually show you what happens when you don't. I've got a perfect example outside. I'm going to bring you in closer to look at this one. Okay, so this is a dahlia seedling. These two little curled up leaves on either side down here are the first leaves. They don't count. You do not count those. The next set of leaves are true leaves. That's this set. And then it has a second set of true leaves here and here. Now, it seems kind of brutal, but literally, if you come in and you pinch the center, just like that, I pinched it off, that will promote this particular plant to growing more than this one stem that it currently has. Let me see if this one's ready yet. The original leaves, true leaves, true leaves. I'm going to let this guy grow, this little piece in here grow a little bit more, and then I'll pinch that. All right, so let me take you outside and I will show you why that is important. And I don't see any of these other ones, zinnias, are not ready. They have original leaves, true leaves. They don't even have a second set of true leaves. None of these are ready for pinching yet. But as I see it, I will go ahead and pinch it. That one will be next. That one we just did. All right, let me take you outside and I'll show you exactly why. And then we'll return this back into the grow tub. All right, this is what happens when you do not pinch dahlias. You end up with one tremendously long stem, which I staked. This was one of the tubers that I planted. That one over there, and I'll give you a close-up of, I'll put a picture in the corner of it, has multiple branches only because I think the squirrels running around through here, they actually broke the other dahlia early on. The few little stems that were growing out of the ground got kind of squashed, and it came up with multiple branching. This one, I not only did not pinch it, I actually staked it, so I did everything wrong. And as you can see, I mean, these dahlias, they need a lot of moisture to develop their flowers, especially this particular kind that grows, the very full, lush-looking dahlia flowers. Anyway, so the whole plant is very unhappy. Here's the problem. I could cut this back, and I'm going to. I think I'm just going to go ahead and give it a try and see what happens. But once the dahlia reaches this height, these stems are hollow. So you do take a risk of rainwater, bugs, disease, bad things happening to the plant when you do that. But it's really not producing. It produced one beautiful flower, but it's just a very stressed out plant. So I think I'm going to give it a chance anyway. I'm going to go ahead and try to cut it back. So I could go to this level because you can see there's branching occurring from the sides of this at this juncture. But frankly, I think that's too tall too. So I think I'm going to go down to the next juncture, and I'm going to need to move the Velcro to do that. Hang on. So this is not really supporting it much. It's just, when the wind blows and it does rain, this guy was so top heavy that it was falling to the side. So all I'm going to do is move it to below this section where I'm going to cut. And I'm just going to cut, holding my breath, pray for the best, and hopefully this will not end up with a serious problem. And next year I will remember to pinch earlier. And I'm going to show you how hollow this, it's like truly a straw. Hang on. You can see it, folks. I mean, that is a dead hollow straw all the way through. Same thing there. That one's hollow all the way down. So we'll see what happens. You can see the little branching is starting on both sides. It is closer to the ground, so I think it will be less stress trying to get moisture. We'll see which way it goes. But as I said, it really wasn't producing the way I wanted it to anyway. So might as well take a chance and see what happens. But this is why it's so important to pinch dahlias when they are seedlings and when they are small before their stems get hollow. And here we are back in the tub grow root. I can't remember what I was going to call it, but I'm going to obviously turn on these grow lights. Didn't need those with the LetPot light, had its own. So these will, from this point forward, although as I said, for 3 or 4 more days, I am going to keep these super moist, but after that, they will get the same water, same fertilizer, and let's see what happens, where they go from here.